Welcome to today's vlog. My name is Lela, and in this video, I will share with you a little bit of my spring gardening and painting a tiny painting from life. Almost. I recorded it over 2 days. My plan was to use a warm, sunny day to do gardening and start my tiny painting on day one and finish it the next day. After all, my subject was a small garlic plant in the garden, so it could not possibly grow much in a day, right? Well, it did not exactly go as I planned. You will see why later in the video. The day started as bright, sunny, warm, above 15 degrees Celsius day. I was absolutely thrilled. I couldn't wait to get out and find something to paint. Now, bear in mind, the winter was very long and I think it was relentless. And I was hoping that it has finally loosened its grip. The snow, which has blanketed the world in icy silence for months, has melted away, and now all what was left is damp earth beneath. Barely anything is green or alive. Almost everything looks like bare tree trunks and just soil. Even grass is not quite alive yet. So I went out and I brought with me my vegetable transplants, onions and lettuce, and decided to transplant them in small little trays so that in maybe 4 or 5 weeks I can transplant them in the garden and then they will be happy and growing throughout the entire season. So I picked my onions and then separated every single plant and then started planting them in small trays. It was a very beautiful and very meditative experience. I listened to the birds. There was very gentle wind. Sun was very bright. Everything looked glorious, even though not much was showing signs of life outside. Once I finished that transplanting, I was very happy, and then I scrolled around the garden to find anything interesting to paint. There wasn't really much green or anything flowering, and I already painted trees and landscapes for quite some time. So eventually I settled on anything green I could find, which was exactly small little garlic plant. Garlic is very hardy, so it managed to just survive through the winter, and as soon as the weather showed up even smallest sign of warmth, it poked above the ground, even though the edges of the leaves are still quite burnt, which I of course made sure I will communicate in my painting. Now I stood there and I sketched the entire plant from life. The way I sketch it is I look which leaves are the closest to me and I put rough shapes and then look which leaves are behind them and how they are positioned in relation to those which I already placed in. And then I adjust. By the time I finish sketching, my sketch looks pretty muddy. There is a lot of graphite on it, and if I put any watercolor over that graphite, first it's going to look very dark and muddy. Second, it will lock that graphite so that after that, there would be no way that I can bring white of the paper back. It will just be completely grayed by presence of graphite, and every color would be also modified. So to avoid that, I mixed a little bit of watercolor of some kind of brownish reddish tint, but very weak. Put it on my dip pen and decided to outline just the major things, meaning major shapes and major lines, but not really solid lines, just dashed lines. Being it watercolor, it is going to dissolve after I start painting. So it was important to be just dark enough and light enough so that my drawing is still visible. When I use watercolor to outline something, then I can, after that, very easily erase all graphite. First with kneaded eraser, and after that with real eraser. Then all what was left is just simple line, which would anyway get dissolved as soon as I start painting. Now with sketch being done, it was time to paint. But the day was over, and I decided to continue with that tomorrow. However, tomorrow started as a completely different day. We had snow and blizzard and strong winds, and very soon the ground was covered with a blanket of snow again. My small little garlic plant disappeared completely. So painting from life was not any more viable option. I had to use my reference, and here comes the point where we as artists should always remember to take photo of our subject. Even though it's a plant in your garden, as apparently is the case with me today, tomorrow that plant disappeared under the snow, so I could not possibly paint it from life. That's why I opted to finish it indoors based on my reference. So I painted initial layers in light yellow, green, yellow ochre, burnt sienna colors so that the shape and the relative degree of lightness and darkness is closely captured, and then went on to paint the background. The background is soil, so I didn't want to make it too rough and too sandy and too textured. I just wanted to suggest that there is some soil there, and that's pretty much it. Also, I noticed that the location of the sun was on the right side, so the shadows were on the left sides. And that's what I communicated as well. There is this dark patch on the ground, which is created as a shadow of this small little garlic plant. So now, sitting inside and watching outside snow falling and wind blowing over, and not seeing any garlic under that white blanket, I'm quite happy that I had my reference to finish it. So I hope you like what I painted, and maybe you would follow along and use my sketch and those instructions to paint your own small spring garlic as well. Thank you for watching, and have a beautiful day.